Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is George Herrera with the Queens Home Team at Keller Williams Realty. In today's video, I'm talking about extensions and non-permitted structures. So what you should know about extensions and non-permitted structures, specifically here in Queens, New York. So related to extensions, one thing that you need to know is that extensions, when they're built, they are required to have permits filed with the New York City Department of Buildings. What we do see every once in a while here is you'll find properties where an extension was built and there was no permit filed for it. And so what you can do, usually they're pretty easy to spot because a lot of houses in Queens are pretty cookie cutter. They tend to follow the same uniform architecture design on a block. So if you go, let's say, to the back of a property, you can generally see extensions are usually pretty apparent anyway, because as you're walking through, you can kind of see where the house used to end here and this looks like something else. But either way, when you're in the backyard, usually you can see, let's say a rear extension was created. So usually in the rear, you can look at where the property ends, where the bump out is for the extension. And you can usually look at the neighbors and see if the neighbors have the same extension. Many times they do. So you'll have a bump out, but all the other neighbors have it as well. So that was probably created way back. They did it all uniformly. But sometimes you'll see a big bump out and the neighbors, nobody has it. And so in those situations, you would definitely want to have that in mind. You would want to ask the listing agent or the seller, was this extension permitted? You know, was it there when they bought it? Did they put up the extension? So it's definitely something to look into, because that can create an issue or a problem down the road when you pull title and when your survey is done. So extensions are very important in that sense. You want to make sure that the extensions were permitted. So you want to raise that issue at the beginning before you go into contract, if you notice that it looks like an extension, or if you're told that an extension was put in. Same thing on the side of the house or the front of the house. A lot of times it's pretty apparent because the houses are pretty generally on the same block. They'll follow the same pattern, and you can tell if something was done, or even when you're in the house, you can tell that it looks a little bit off, like this was added at another point in time. But extensions you want to be aware of, and take a picture, show your attorney, talk to the listing agent, ask about it if it was permitted. Non-permitted structures, also sometimes people will create structures on their property. So they might create a shed or a cinder block structure in the backyard, or have some type of a deck. So sometimes people add decks or balconies onto their property with no permits. Permits are supposed to be filed when you build a deck, when you create a balcony, when you add a front porch, things like that. And those also can become issues down the road once title is pulled. So again, these are things that you want to point out and you want to ask about. So if you see a balcony, a deck, a front porch that was created, you want to ask about that and ask if it was permitted. Were the permits filed with Department of Buildings for this structure and for that deck or what have you? So it's just things that you want to ask about and get more information, because when your title is pulled, when the survey's done, when your title search comes back, during that whole title process, things like this can become an issue, and then you have to handle it at that point. And if it comes up that something is non-permitted, then that can also become problematic for you, possibly with financing, possibly with title insurance. But so either way, you want to definitely try to get ahead of it while you can, but when you're searching for the property, or when you see the property, when you're doing your inspection, things like that. So just keep an eye out for that. If you have any questions related to extensions, non-permitted structures, what to do if you're buying a property with an extension or a non-permitted structure, or how to go about selling a property that has an extension or a non-permitted structure, anything related to that, feel free to reach out to us. We have a great expediter that we work with in case you needed to legalize anything or clear any type of violations related to extensions and non-permitted items. But either way, we'd be happy to give you any guidance or advice if you're in a situation with an extension, non-permitted structure, or anything of that nature. Also, as always, if you have any topics or questions that you'd like us to shoot a video for, just drop them in the comments below and we'd be happy to shoot a video for you. Thanks as always for tuning in, y'all. Stay tuned for the next episode. Stay safe and take care.